Can escape rooms for other youngsters to understand migration, integration, and problems and issues connect with this one.
So we have 3 different rooms on different topics of migration. First of them is stereotypes.
Yes, my room is called Stereotypes. This is stereotypes about migrants, and yeah.
Second room is the benefits of Estonia, and the third one is integration. You will have chance to play tomorrow them as well. And that's actually all. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. All right, Mikhail, ready? There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. So, we are returning to our panel discussions. We are now going to have our third panel of the day, discussing the barriers to integration and effective steps to address them within and beyond the labor market, social cohesion, and civic participation on local and national level. I would like to call upon the panel Annika Sepp, Advisor, Employment Department of Ministry of Social Affairs. Thank you. Susanne Kalanvara, teacher at Burgadens Gymnasium, Sweden. Thank you. Quite an audience for you. Gudan Viktne, Director of NGO Shelter Safe House, Latvia. Thank you. Mafalda Lobo, researcher of the University of Minho, Portugal. I hope I pronounced that correct. And Luba Lisina from the NGO Ahead Spain. Hello, Luba. So, I would like to ask, do you have any presentations? We will start with some first statements. Okay. So, we start the way I called from there, from Annika. Statement on the topic.
Hello, I'm Annika and I'm representing Ministry of Social Affairs. And my topic is employment and designing labor market policies for different target groups, also people with migrant background. And on today's topic on obstacles and how to tackle them, I would like to briefly share some experiences with current situation with refugee flows from Ukraine and how we have been tackling this from the point of view of labor market integration. And first I would like to highlight the importance of right and correct information brought directly to target group, not just being published on the web page, although this is important as well, but to go to the target group and to talk to them directly. And in this respect, our public employment services have been since very start of the refugee inflow from Ukraine present, and they have been at reception points and bigger accommodation centers providing information on Estonian labor market and public employment services. I would also like to highlight the importance of different initiatives and tools to bring together interested employers and job seekers. And in this respect, we have created a special portal, Jobs for Ukrainians. And in addition, our public employment services have organized special recruitment events or job fairs for employers and Ukrainian job seekers. And they have been held in different locations and focusing on specific sectors. It has also been very helpful to have a good set of active labor market measures in place. And by today, we have already 700, a bit above, Ukrainians who have enrolled in some labor market measures, mainly trainings or different types of counseling. Maybe just one classical labor market obstacle in Estonia is language requirements. What experience I want to share is that in this current situation, it is very positive that Estonian Language Board has advised employers to recruit Ukrainians to also to positions where Estonian is required, and despite of lack of language knowledge. And it has been suggested that it would be acceptable as long as the employer can, with other measures, guarantee that the service provision is not inhibited by that. It could mean measures such as working in pairs with a colleague who can speak Estonian, and Ukrainian or other person who cannot speak Estonian can ask for help in this situation. I would also like to highlight that in Estonia, access to Estonian language training is available both to employed and unemployed persons through our public employment services, and there will be additional 10,000 study places for Ukrainians made available in June. What has been also very helpful is this supportive legal framework. This status of temporary protection has made it much easier and smoother to offer employment services and help people with labor market access. By today, there are about 4,300 Ukrainians who have registered themselves as unemployed, and 72% of them also receive unemployment allowance. That's for start all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annika. Before we pass the floor to Suzanne, I would like to present Razan Damlaki, independent researcher from the Netherlands. My omission not to present her initially. Suzanne, you have the floor.
Okay. I'd like to stand up since I'm so small. Now I can see you at the back and you can see me, hopefully. My name is Susanne Kallanvaara. I have Finnish roots, but unfortunately I don't speak Finnish. I come from the city of Göteborg on the west coast in Sweden. If you ever have any doubts which city to go to, Stockholm or Göteborg, you go to Göteborg. I think even Stockholmers would admit that is the right choice. So my school has a very difficult name. I don't think Vasily ever has pronounced it correctly. It's Burgårdens Gymnasium. It's an upper secondary school. In the city center, we have 1,100 students, and they are between the ages of 16 to 21, I should say. And it's mostly vocational training, like we have hairdressers, security guards, kindergarten attendants. So we have, vocational training all in all. 80% of our students are immigrants. I brought 5 of them here today. I think they can raise a wave to the audience. And I'm not sure they are completely representative of our students as a group. We would have liked to bring some of them, but most of them have refused to take the vaccination, and others are not allowed to travel abroad with strange people like me, I guess. So they are at home. But on this topic, like barriers to integration, I can state 2 in Sweden. Number 1, segregation of schools. I think we have, since the 1990s, when the market economy decided to decide everything about education, that it should be competitive, the best schools should be found like in service, like PISA, and we haven't done so well there, have we? But this meant that if you wanted to take any school, you applied to the school by grades. And of course, immigrant students that come to our country, they don't have the high grades because it's mostly based on knowledge of Swedish. So it will take them longer. And of course, they end up in the schools where no one wants to go. They don't choose. They end up. And our school is one of those they end up in. And that is one problem for us. And the other is connected to the first one because it has to do with segregation of housing, as Rudy mentioned. The housing areas for immigrants are all on the outskirts in the suburbs, where there are no native Swedish people. So it's really difficult to navigate in the Swedish educational system. So what have we done with our students in our school? Because since they are mostly vocational training, we have a lot of internship, like 16 weeks in 3 years. They go on internship, which gives them a network. But because they usually don't have any network, the parents have no network, so we need to create networks for them. And the other thing we have said, you know, a lot of teachers complain, but they have no schooling. They have not even been to primary school in their home countries. No, because wars have been running for years in their home countries. So they have no opportunity. If we are lucky, they have been to Quran school, which have given them, you know, something to that we can start with. But we still have the students we have. We have to adapt to the situation and find the strengths within the students themselves. And we do this by having a lot of special needs teachers involved in the education, and to sort of, the education is tailor-made on individual basis. That you should really, you know, find the strengths in every student and see where can they go, and you have to put aside maybe sometimes language skills or other subjects just to help them find a way in our society. And this has cost us a lot because we have a large deficit in our economy, in the budget of our school, and politicians are very angry with us. But I say to them, well, what is the other option? We don't invest money in our immigrants, and then we have the riots, as you have already seen, and Sweden now is famous for all the riots between immigrants and police. I think we're even worse than the United States now. And so we have to take this. It's a smaller cost to put more money into education than to do after, to be, you know, wise after, and have to deal with riots. So those are actually the two. And I would love to know how you solve this in your countries. If you have any good solutions, I'm open to listening to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne, for a very thorough and enlightening situation of Sweden. We didn't know most of them. Thank you. Guda, you have the floor.
Hello, I am Gunda from Riga, from Latvia, Society Shelter Safe House. I'm very happy and glad that I can participate again in this wonderful company together with you. And I am from NGO, Shelter Safe House, who provide information center for newcomers from 2016. We provide a lot of services for migrants who arrived from third countries, countries. And if I would like to add about the barriers in the integration process in Latvia, that the first, of course, is Latvian society attitude for migrants. It is the first. Maybe you know that the Latvian society is shared in two parts. Approximately 51% of society is Latvian speaking, other is Russian speaking. Along years we live in two different spaces. And I can say now that this situation a little bit changes and became better. And second is languages. We need to know Latvian languages is Latvian, and how you know language always opens all doors. If you know languages, you can easier and better to integrate and inclusive in the society. But in Latvia, we have a problem that Latvian language courses for migrants, we can provide only in the projects. And you know, projects is finish, projects start, and it is not always normal learning process. We are, how to say, we jump from one project to other project, and it's not guarantee for good learning process. And of course, Latvia is a small country, but we can say that sometimes in regions is big problems to access all services. If we compare with Latvian city Riga, for example, you can receive a lot of services. But if you are decided to live in small villages, that it will be so difficulties. I can say that it is three big barriers for integration process in Latvia. Thank you.
Thank you, Guda. And now, Mafalda, yes.
I have one line participation.
Yes.
I should talk first, or you can do the I can talk first about my presentation. Start the presentation. No, not presentation, no, the online participation on two participants, Jacob Booth and Carmen. Yes. Yeah. Maybe I can do my presentation first, no?
Yes, we hear very low. Can you please speak again? They hear from here.
I'm sorry.
How's it going? Maybe. Sorry, oh, yes, 1 minute, please. Maybe it's from here. Headphone. Can you speak again, please?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello. Carmo.
Mafalda, you have the floor if you want to speak.
Carmo, you can talk. You can start to talk. It's a problem of communication.
Can you hear us?
Are you here?
Kind of, with some cuts.
Yes, you may start.
Hello, can I? Okay, so you can hear me properly. That's the most important thing. I'm Carmo Welford. I work as a legal advisor in JRS Portugal. I don't know if you heard of us. We are an NGO that was born in the 80s by Father Pedro Arrupe, superior of the company of the Society of Jesus, that started JRS as a response to the Vietnamese boat people that arrived in Japan when he was in the mission there. So he gathered the civil society in the church in this so-called the Jesuit Refugee Service. And since then, we've been supporting displaced migrants and refugees around the world in more than 50 countries. In Portugal, we started in '92. We have all kinds of services. We work with both immigrants and refugees in Portugal. We have reception centers for migrants that have no shelter here in Portugal. We have centers for refugees, asylum seekers from relocation programs in Europe, resettlement programs, and most recently Afghan citizens with a humanitarian corridor we started directly from Afghanistan, and most recently with the Ukrainian crisis in a reception center in Porto, in the north region for displaced migrants from the Ukraine. In Lisbon and in Porto, we help immigrants and refugees with all kinds of services, as a documentation, Portuguese teaching, professional training, job searching, medical care, legal support, mental health, everything that basically is part of an integration process for either immigrants or refugees. And we also work in a detention center, the only detention center in Portugal outside the airport zones, called the Unidade Habitacional de Santo António, where irregular migrants and people that are object of a decision, a denial of entry in the borders, are stay for a maximum of 60 days before they are expelled to a transit country or the country of origin. So having this experience, we have a lot to say, as you imagine, about this team of this board, especially regarding the steps that need to be taken to have a most fair and equal asylum immigration system in Europe. For example, the visa system, we have my job is to advocate for human rights within decision makers, even if they are in the local level or national level or international level. So our job is also to advocate for a visa reform of the current system. And this requires a lot of study on the Schengen regulation and the Dublin regulation and all kind of regulation that allows the entry of people in the national territory in Portugal and other countries of the European Union. So I can tell you about a bit about our story in Portugal. That the most recent story of immigration is in 2018. For example, when Portugal was one of the first countries to regulate about the status of international students for humanitarian reasons. This is a good step in a good practice inside the European Union. And also, but still requires a regulation on the visa. And some policies are good practices in a national level, but they are not. They cannot get into practice because there's no way for people to come to Portugal, although there is a permit specified for international students for humanitarian reasons. For working purpose, it also happens. In 2019, Portugal was the most single country in the European Union that had some changes into his national law to allow people without legal entry in national territory to regularize their documental situation and allowing them to work with
Carmo, sorry, you have
12
another
months,
2 minutes, please.
taxes paid. Excuse me?
You have another 2 minutes stop, okay, to conclude.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And also, having this in mind and having the current difficulties of accessing working visas, so our advocacy work is basically that visa system needs to be reformed. And this affects also the detention of irregular migrants and accessing to legal and safe pathways. Currently, the Europe facilitates the entrance of more qualified migrants. For example, the Blue Card Director, Golden Visas, or job-seeking visas that are, for example, in Germany, and tends to block access to the most vulnerable. with no regulation about, for example, humanitarian visas, no regulation about working visas, because they are extremely hard to access, and no regulation about job seeking visas for least qualified people. So this is, in our opinion, one step that needs to be taken and having in consideration for a more welcoming Europe.
Thank you very much. Now it is.
Thank you.
Yes. Now we would like to call Tiago for his statement. For a statement, correct? Yes. Tiago, are you hearing us?
Hello, I am.
Thank you.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Greetings from Tallinn. You have the floor for 5 minutes tops. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So, as a PhD student in international relations in Nova University of Lisbon, I would like to share with you some of my worries about this Ukrainian refugee crisis that we are facing, comparing it to the Syrian refugee crisis that we faced in 2015 and 2017. So one of the things that European Union faced in 2015 was the crisis of two main European principles, which are the principle of sharing responsibilities and the principle of solidarity. Those principles were in crisis because the south countries of Italy and Greece were left alone dealing with so many asylum requests. The only thing that the European Commission made was creating hotspots in Greece and Italian territories, where Europe Commission provided lots of European services, as EASO services, Frontex services, and so on. But it also implemented the relocation program, where we had lots of countries lots of European countries that didn't accept any refugee coming from Greece or Italy, especially when you talk about Poland, Hungary, or Czech Republic. When we're now looking to the Ukrainian refugee crisis, I haven't seen till now any measure or any proposal by the European Commission trying to relocate the refugees, the Ukrainian refugees that remain in Polish, Romanian, Hungarian territory. So we are probably going to face something that we also faced, I hope not, but we might face something that we faced in Greece and Italy with the creation of lots of refugee camps without any conditions and without any dignity for these refugees. So what I would like to share with you is these concerns about how can Europe still be a place of freedom and with a place of human rights and with dignity, where people can live with dignity, when we are facing this big refugee Ukrainian crisis, and without learning from the Syrian crisis, where the European Commission could take some lessons from there. So this is what I would like to tell you. One of the things that I think Europe should do as quickly as possible is to not to this Ukrainian crisis, but looking to the Greece territory, to the Greek territory, is to make sure and to analyze as fast as possible all the asylum requests that these asylum seekers made, because otherwise it will be impossible to take people out of refugee camps and relocating them in other European Union countries. But most of all, I would like you to think about these two principles, the sharing of responsibilities and solidarity principle. And if you think that they are really being applied at the moment, facing the Ukraine refugee crisis by the European Commission and by the other EU countries. So this is the big question that I leave you, and thank you very much for this opportunity. And I hope that my presentation was useful for you.
Thank you, Diego. So, Mafalda, you have the floor for 5 minutes. Please be strict because we need to facilitate also the others. Okay?
5 minutes. I don't care.
5 minutes.
Are you listening to me? Yes. Okay. It was a pleasure to me to be here in Tallinn. Let's talk about me. I'm a researcher at University of Minho, Braga, Portugal, and Isenova Institute of Communication. I was a political candidate as a head of the list for the Santa Clara municipality in Lisbon through a political party. The local municipality of Santa Clara is divided in 2 areas. One of the areas is called Ameixoeira, and another area is called Charneca. It's a large territory of Lisbon that has many social housing where people of different countries are concentrated. Local municipality is the first place for receiving, processing, and attending to the immediate needs of refugees and migrants. The majority receive funds from the government to provide their integration through associations present in the territory. I didn't win the election, but I was elected a member of the Santa Clara Municipal Assembly in Lisbon. My working is doing opposition to the executive elected that belong to the same political part of the Prime Minister of Portugal. I have a partnership with the Lisbon City Council, and the mayor of Lisbon is, the name is Carlos Moedas, who was the candidate of the Novos Tempos Lisboa coalition that I belonged. Previously, he was the European Commissioner responsible for research, innovation and science from 2014 and 2019. In the local municipality of Santa Clara, one of my functions doing opposition, as I already said, scrutinizing, evaluating, recommending or censoring the work that is developing in many areas, and check what are doing the president elected. One of which concerns social actions that directly affects the associations of the migrants and refugees that living in the territory. I'm following also the work of the associations inside. In addition to the support that these associations benefits from the government through official organization and associations, I highlight the High Commissioner for Migration, HCM. They also have coming funds from local support through the local municipality. On the other hand, they must present during the time programs to justify where these funds are spent and present their own accounts report. This process, evaluation and monitoring, must to be presented each 3 months in the ordinary session on the local municipality, where I ask the president and the executive elected. I'm the bridge between the interests of migrants and refugees and the local government, and I interact with them in the territory of Santa Clara through main associations focused on community interventions and refugees. One of that is GRAs, that we present the statement, ILCC, Cultural Face, and Prosal Desk. I think I don't have too much time, but I would like to say that the High Commissioner for Migration can be present here today, but she asked me to represent her in this conference. The High Commission for Immigration is a public institution directly dependent of the Presidents of the Ministers' Council, has the mission of collaborating on determining, executing and assessing the public, transversal and sectorial public policies concerning migrations that are relevant for the integration of migrants in the national, international and Portuguese-speaking context. I have a slide, a PPT presentation of the ICM. Okay, if I have time, I would like to present later, okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mafalda. Now we give the floor to Luba.
Me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. How is the energy in this room by now? It's the sixth, seventh, or I don't know how many speakers. Show me your energy with your clapping. Okay. That's higher than I expected. Can you raise it 2 points, please, and show it to us? That was 1.5, I think, not 2. But well, a little bit higher will help me. Thank you very much. Yes, Michalis said, my name is Luba. I was presented as a representative of AHED, Association of Human Rights Educators, and that's totally correct. And I would like to add that I am also a trainer of the pool of the youth department of the Council of Europe, and I do human rights education, and I also did that for the Council of Europe, including in Russia and Ukraine. That is now kind of the context that is hot. Some projects are still pending and we don't know if they will ever be able to be finalized. I am a part of the training of trainers in human rights education in Ukraine, for instance, and still there is missing some part to be implemented. And Russia is out of Council of Europe, as you know maybe already. So even this makes impossible some dialogue that was still recently possible. But okay, that's a little part that I wanted to add to my presentation. I represent the organization based in Barcelona, but some of you maybe know that Tallinn is my home city. I grew up here and I was born here. And my educational activism started here as well. I am actually a subject of those wonderful integration programs that were presented this morning as a Russian-speaking Estonian. I don't know if they worked or not. You can check. But definitely my story made me who I am now, a person who is educating about human rights. That's already a good result, I guess. Going into the topic we are talking about, the barriers to inclusion, I would say better, I like more this word, or cohesion, and how we can address them. I am thinking about my activities, educational activities back to years 2000 in Estonia, and already those times I was a part and initiator of projects for the cohesion, for instance, between the Russian and Estonian-speaking youth here in Tallinn and in Estonia in general. And what was the difficulty that we faced those times? It was that we always have a lot of Russian-speaking youth who were eager and happy to join and take part, and we never, or it was super difficult to find young people, Estonian speakers, young people, to get involved in these projects where the topic was inclusion, cohesion, whatever, or just this kind of specific target group. And that's one of the barriers that I would like to indicate, is that I think it's very important, and it's the clear barrier, that the hosting community is not as well motivated and open to inclusion and cohesion process as the newcomer communities. So it's one of the barriers that we are addressing in our work in Barcelona nowadays, that we are working on sensibilization of the hosting communities, the privileged youth, and they are most of the time local youth and the majority youth, together with newcoming youth or different minority group representatives. And especially I was very much how to say, synchronized, in synchrony with the previous speakers speaking about demigrantization or humanization of minority groups or of refugees and migrants. Because this is also exactly what we are trying to do through the project using non-formal education and human rights education approach, is face-to-face, person-to-person dialogue, communication, in order to break this the other or dehumanized attitude to the other, putting into boxes, labeling, and calling them and us, to know who you're talking about, but on real people, knowing to address. If I speak to an LGBT person, I know that I met this person and I know who they are and what they do. If I speak about Syrian refugee, I know I met in my life. I don't speak about somebody imaginary that I know about them from newspaper, etc., or about Ukrainians, you name it. Yeah, why it's so important, I would like to underline, because if you think about violence, discrimination, or any bad attitudes or treatment of the other people, we are unable basically to discriminate against or violate rights of somebody else if we treat or we address this person as a human being. It's only possible with the humanization of another. So this is what human rights education is addressing, is to humanize, to remember that we are human, also the other is human. And the humanization of the other starts with the humanization of yourself also. Treat yourself as a human first of all, and you can treat also the other person also as a human. And I know that's very philosophical and metaphysical, but that's how it works, that I am totally convinced about that. Yeah, that's one of the things. There are many more barriers, you know, but I would like to underline this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luba. And last but not least, Razan.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. My name is Razan. 10 years ago, I came to the Netherlands to follow a master program in English language in computer science. Actually, after successful completion of my studies, I was supposed to go back to my home country, that's Syria, to my family, to my job, but that plan didn't work out. Obviously, you know the reason, due to the war that burst out there. At some point, my student visa expired and I had only one option left for legal stay in the country. That is actually to seek asylum and go through all its associated complex procedures. Besides the civic integration course and the Dutch language lessons, I was actively involved with several NGOs and civil society organizations that facilitate the socio-economic inclusion of newcomers in the Netherlands. By doing so, I built up knowledge and experience in that field and established a considerably wide social network. Since 2017, I fulfilled my interest in social domain by becoming engaged in the design and development of various projects and programs that assist newcomers in finding their way in this new home country, especially in the Dutch labor market. Currently, I work as a trainee by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Employment, mainly involved in developing policies for more inclusive and equal opportunities in the labor market for people with migration background. Having a refugee background myself and as expert by experience, I aspire to support a better understanding of the multiple dimensions of the refugee experience. I strive for raising awareness about the true spirit of refugees as human capital. I'm always in the lookout for ways to get their faces seen and their voices heard, so that they are perceived as active and valued contributors to the economic growth of the host society, recognized for their potential and capacities, rather than being considered as burdens or risks, and being treated as passive recipients of aid and helpless victims to be pitied. I believe stempling refugees as vulnerable groups turns vulnerability into a definable defect rather than a defining asset and feature of being human. That's why we must strengthen narratives of capability and growth. When it comes to employment, common well-known obstacles faced by migrants and refugees are mainly limitation in professional networks, lacking proficiency in the host country's languages, and difficulty validating credentials and educational degrees. Don't worry, I'm not elaborating on these obstacles in few minutes. That's actually not possible. So I choose to share few specific and concrete key points based on my experience on the topic so far.
So thank you very much.
No, I'm not done yet, sorry. like 5 minutes, I'm done, okay? I'm just taking a breath. Okay. Okay, so... Okay, the first point I would like to highlight is actually something that has been happening for the last 10 years in the Dutch policy of integration, and that's mainly that refugees who get residence permit are asked to learn the Dutch language and spend maximum 3 years on that, and then maybe try or like they have to proceed to find jobs and integrate in the job market. That proved to be failing and not functioning at all based on figures and outcomes. Luckily, this year the system or the policy is changing. Yeah, it's about time actually, because it's strongly advised to have learning the language and finding a job and completing the civic integration program taking place simultaneously and not consecutively. What have proven to facilitate pathways into employment are dual trajectories. That is namely combining building work experience and learning workplace-specific language so that newcomers can immediately apply their learnings into practice. By doing so, their participation is stimulated at an early stage. Another established and equally important form of employment I find is self-employment or entrepreneurship. Supporting entrepreneurs with migrant background is vital. Providing access to financial and legal services for this group needs to be drastically improved via specialized programs while minimizing bureaucracy. Also, government institutions and stakeholders need to be aware of and work to overcome their own perceptions and biases towards entrepreneurs with a migrant backgrounds and build a trust-based relationship with them. I can give an example on this specifically. Recently, I had a conversation with a Dutch civil servant who works as an integration consultant at the municipality in social welfare and department. She said, to be surprised how ambitious my fellow Syrian newcomers are and what a strong entrepreneurial spirit they have. In her caseload of people she is mentoring in their search for jobs, she often gets requests for assistance in legal and financial matters from those who are desiring to start their own business and become freelancers. In response to that, she said that I have to actually be strict and restrictive and explain to that person that because you are a newcomer here, you probably won't survive the complex Dutch system and you lack the knowledge of the Dutch market. So there is a big risk you will get in troubles eventually and you have debts accumulating. So why taking the risk? Why isn't even like better and more convenient to be in the safe side and get yourself a job and a salary at the end of the month? Yeah, she was explaining actually.
You have to conclude, please.
Yes, that avoid risks and uncertainties is something typical in the Dutch system and the Dutch mentality because they like to have everything well organized and planned to the details. They have almost like insurance for everything because they like to mitigate risks everywhere. So. I was shocked to hear that from her, and I think, that's okay. I'm feeling really like under. So I'm really finishing in 3 minutes. So just give me some space, please. Yes, okay. Okay. I mean, eventually, I guess you can imagine how this encouraging and this empowering this for a newcomer to hear that. Anyway. Okay, so Charles Handy, an Irish author and philosopher, said citizenship is the chance to make difference to the place where you belong. In the occasion of the European Active Citizens Week, where we are now gathering for, a question that I would like to leave you with to reflect on is, what is the importance of having an enabling environment that fosters refugees and migrant civic integration through belonging? how can decent work and dignified employment contribute to refugees' empowerment and self-reliance? It's one thing to preach about active citizenship, but it's another thing to actually practice it. And yeah, actually, there is more to being a citizen than just having a legal papers as proof. It doesn't matter whether you are born with specific citizenship or you are earning it during migration. Being a good and active citizen is about the way of interaction with society and in the community. Our common nationality is humankind. Although we all speak different languages, we all want to be heard. And although what we consider to be normal differs, we all want to belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Razan. Thank you very much. One, two. Thank you. Sorry for feeling you were stressed. Yes. So I think we heard very nice things and very important things about the barriers, etc. So I would like to call for some reaction, comments, or questions from the audience. We have the courtesy to have 5 or 10 more minutes. Any comments and reactions? None. So I have one. Ah, yes, of course. Oh, keep it. Be as brief and on the point.
Well, I've heard a lot about, sorry, I'm going to introduce myself. Basil Haider. I'm from the Netherlands, but originally Syrian. I studied economics, both in Syria and the Netherlands, and now I'm working in the financial industry. I've encountered many of the obstacles that you've mentioned, and I've definitely heard stories about them. The only question is, sometimes the barriers are very simple, but very concrete. Specifically policies. So policies that punish individuals as well as companies and organizations when they try to actually help integrate, assimilate, and empower or employ refugees. So any kind of policy that is against traineeships, internships, any kind of employment that is to a migrant. So for example, if you incentivize a company to take a refugee traineeship and maybe exempt it from some sort of tax instead of adding the tax to the company as well as the individual. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. What can we do as citizens to kind of change that? Well, beside voting. Thanks.
Thank you. Who would like to reply? Yes, Mahalda.
I would like to ask to Celso, because he is a leadership of association in the territory of Santa Clara. Could you tell the barriers on the political participation and other difficulties of the migrants in the territory?
That will reply to the question.
Yes, yes, but I didn't work in any organization. It's why I asked the.
There was a question, so well, of course we can give the floor, but be brief on the topic, please.
Can you?
So please be brief. Can you be?
Yes.
Deborah will help you. Yeah, Deborah.
Okay. Thank you, Mafalda. I speak in Portuguese, okay? Introduzido por Bárbara ou Débora, ok? No território da Santa Clara, nós, enquanto organização social na freguesia, trabalhamos em articulação, ou seja, em parcerias.
So we in the Santa Clara territory, we search for partnerships to work in this field.
Okay. E nessas parcerias, a Culture Face, que está muito focada na área da interculturalidade, a comunicação e processo de integração.
So we are focused on the integration and the interculturality to develop to this territory.
Okay. Nós temos por objetivo fazer sinalização e encaminhamento de cidadãos que chegam a Lisboa, sobretudo que vão integrando no território de Santa Clara.
So we try to lead these citizens to be integrated to this territory, to the main responsible organizations to do this work.
Pronto. Preocupamos-nos em pessoas que têm dificuldade de alimentação, pessoas que querem se regularizar e que queiram se tornar cidadãos plenos.
So we try to search for the jobs and to help them to become the citizens as well as the nationals and integrate them.
Nós articulamos com o Alto Comissariado para imigrantes, para a imigração, perdão.
So one of our main partners is the High Commissioner of Migrations.
E nesse processo ativamos com sectores como a segurança social, finanças e depois o poder local, que é no caso da Freguesia de Santa Clara.
So we try to articulate with all this organization and also the local local organization there and the public power also.
E vamos aqui ter a oportunidade de trazer uma das dinâmicas que é o nosso dia a dia na associação, que é uma vertente cultural.
And we also have the opportunity to bring here in workshop, cultural workshop.
E nos próximos dias, acho eu que será no dia 6, não estou em erro, o nosso artista, o Alberto, irá ter a oportunidade de articular com todos possíveis interessados, e já agora faço a publicidade.
So in the 6th, Alberto will have the opportunity to articulate with all you guys. And
vão ter a oportunidade de dançar kizomba, vão ter a oportunidade de ter algumas experiências de interação com o nosso artista, que vai cantar e dançar também convosco. Conclusão é dizer que a Culture Face trabalha muito nessa dinâmica da interculturalidade para que os cidadãos imigrantes se sintam integrados na sociedade portuguesa. Obrigado.
so you have the opportunity to dance with us. And concluding, Culture Face has this job to integrate the citizens through the culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Celso. Thank you, Deborah, for assisting. I will take a reaction and then I will ask for the panelists if they want to address the questions on the floor. Okay, thank you. I'm coming. We have very few time, to be as brief as possible.
Hello, everybody. My name is Oksana Skaldina. I'm postdoctoral researcher from the University of Turku. I have a very quick question. So, this current Ukrainian crisis gives us an example of huge number of refugees. But we have this kind of problem that we have a huge leakage of intellectual resources at the moment. Because in Ukraine, people are very well educated, they had their established life, their jobs, their high and sometimes top-level positions. But now, when they are facing this kind of war situation and they have to become refugees, so they can lost everything, and first of all, those intellectual resources. So my question is about how the example of this current Ukrainian crisis, how we can think to prevent the leakage of intellectual resources worldwide, considering those refugee and migration things, because we shouldn't mix all the people all together, what we have at the moment. So do you see any ways and means how to prevent this leakage of intellectual resources? This is the question. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take two small remarks, very small remarks. Please, very brief.
Yes.
Because we have less than 7 minutes.
Less than 7 minutes, okay. Good afternoon. My name is Istihal Abdullahi. I'm also from the Netherlands. For me, I'm a former refugee originally from Somalia. So I live 31 years in the Netherlands, and we saw all those wars happening in the world. And then now, unfortunately, we have war from Ukraine. But you know, I always tell myself I'm a positive person and everybody's different. We are kind people. We're still kind people, I believe. But still, something bad things is happening. And when you see the news last time, but the people are fleeing from Ukraine. There were also people like me, who look like me. People deny. They don't accept people like me. And sometimes I'm like, what is happening with the world? And then I'm seeing European, inclusive, and I'm like, okay, what is wrong? What did I miss? So for human rights, I have rights. We all have rights. And then can somebody tell me how and if this never happen again? When people say, you are not important, but this one is important because it's white, what? What we're doing? We're still here together. But we put people always boxes, all the time. And it hurts. It hurts. But I really want to think people, please think deep. Think deep, please.
Thank you. Very brief. The last one, in order to have 1 minute per speaker. Very brief, please.
Thank you. Just to the topic, because I'm director of Refugee Council of Lithuania. I'm a refugee myself. We established the NGO last year. We are 1 year old. And we are trying to, our target group is refugees and asylum seekers. And the point the previous speaker raised, it's really true, and we are surviving this problem in Lithuania for the moment, because in Lithuania there were big flows of refugees. 2020, when events in Belarus happened after the elections, Belarusians were welcomed, which was very human. And then 2021, there was a flow of refugees, also from Belarus, but people were mainly from the Middle East, from African countries, and from Afghanistan. These people were not welcomed. They were called irregular migrants, and I heard, by the way, this word, and today also this phrase, irregular migrants who are kept in custody. And these people, 4,000 people, and 25% of them, they're kids, they're still in Lithuania, they're kept in custody. And events of 2022 with Ukraine. A big flow of Ukrainians, they're welcomed, people are offering houses, and really this question is to point, what is happening with the world? Why international standards are applied selectively? And it is the truth. And when a refugee flees his or her homeland, it does not matter. It is a war, it is another danger, it is dangerous, people are leaving. How do you think, is it a war in Afghanistan? Yes, it is a war. But why, for example, people from the Middle East, from African countries, they are still in custody for 10 months and nobody cares about them, and government is very restrictive and population is fully supporting them, the government. Parliament is supporting the government, and there is not enough voice to raise the issue. Of course, we are raising the issue, but it's not enough. Because even Lithuanian journalists, Lithuanian NGOs, they are supporting government. And it is, I consider that as a selective application of international standards, which is a shame for Europe. Sorry. Why people are coming more to Europe, for example? Because people think that human rights are observed here. This is the main thing which makes refugees to choose Europe. But it is not happening in Lithuania. It is a pity, but I think when we raise the issue, we may influence the policy a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we are out of time, so I won't even pass the floor back to the panel because we don't have any time. There are very specific points taken, and I'm really glad that we're talking. And I want us to leave, in order to pass the floor back to the ambassador, what is wrong with the world? This is a major question. Thank you all. I hope we have more deliberation later in the reception, etc. Thank you all for your patience. Mr.
Thank
Taylor,
you.
have the floor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you very much to our panelists. And I know the subject is quite difficult. And we have heard also some difficult comments, but I think it's important to hear them. And I think it's important to realize clearly what is happening, and so we can remedy that. I mean, if we do not know what is really happening, then there will be no end to that. So now we're moving to the last segment of our conference. And I just wanted to, I'm not going to attempt to summarize the day that we had, because either it's going to take me another day, or I will be in trouble because I'll be forgetting most important things. So I'm just going to say that really I have so much appreciated the openness, the directness of the comments, and I think particularly very, very much appreciative of your own commitment, your own engagement into discussing these matters. I know that they are very difficult. I know that they are sometimes directly personal, but it's very important that we speak of that and take whatever idea, whatever proposal back to our respective communities and see what can be done and how things can be improved. Again, I would like you to join me in giving really a great hand of applause to all our panelists who have throughout the day given us so much of their expertise and of their knowledge, and I think a lot of ideas and proposals for us to take back home. Again, also, I would like to mention one more time and acknowledge the organizers of this day's conference, Silame Society for Child Welfare and Femigrant, as well as the support that they have received from the Nordic Council's the Nordic Council of Ministers Office in Estonia, and also the or the other partner that we have for this conference is the National Foundation of Civil Society, as well as a big word of appreciation to the Europe for Citizens program of the European Union for its financial support to make this conference a reality. I would like now to call on our last speaker of the day, Mr. Christer Höglund, Director of the Nordic Council of Ministers Office in Estonia, to give us the final word of the day before I get back to you with some practical information. Mr. Höglund.
Thank you, Ambassador, dear participants and friends. It's been a long day with many inspirational, I hope, and useful discussions. And since I'm the only one left keeping you from well-deserved refreshments, then I will keep it short. The Nordic Council of Ministers established their offices in the Baltics already 31 years ago, some months before Estonia, for example, regained its independence. And since then we have supported and inspired Estonia and the other Baltic countries and widely organizations in these countries in order to build a sustainable society based on equality. And that's why we have also supported this particular conference. Since we believe that the topics addressed here today are crucial to reach those goals. As we all know, we are now facing extremely challenging times in Europe, and now it is even more important to stay united, together. All of us, no one left behind. I'm also glad to see that there are so many young persons here on at this conference. I think that's really a good sign of a better future also. So that's really good. And I would also like to extend my big thanks to Vasily Golikov and his team for an excellent conference raising topics. Yeah, big hand. For raising topics and challenges we need to address. Big thanks also to the speakers, panelists, and each and everyone who have contributed to this conference. With these words, I think I'll release you for refreshments and networking. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We could not have better words to conclude our day's discussions than this appeal for solidarity, for unity, and also a clear understanding that this work is a collective work. No one of us can do it on his or her own. We all have to pitch in. We all have to do our part of the work. Thank you, Mr. Agland, and thank you to the Nordic Council of Ministers and the office in Estonia. Now, I just wanted to say very, very briefly that as now we conclude our conference, we have this afternoon, after a while, a reception just outside here. And after that, we will all be bussed into the concert hall, where there will be the evening cultural event that the organizers have prepared for us. So I suggest that you speak to Maria to get the idea about the transportation to the concert hall, or maybe you can, say a few words. But just before I give you the floor, Maria, please, for those who have not already decided on the workshops, please get in touch with Dana, and she will explain everything that you need for your participation to the workshops. And I really encourage you to get involved because those, as you will see on the paper, extremely important, interesting workshops, and they complement the information and the presentations that we have been receiving all day long. Maria?
Yes. Thank you. Now we have a little bit time to maybe rest, talk, discuss, and after light dinner, we are going for this center in the Kivi. We have a shuttle bus for that. And please be ready about 5 minutes before 6, and first group about 50%. They're going first. And then step by step, we all come in for these nice places. Please enjoy this evening, and I want to thank you very much for this day. We have a very interesting discussion, very interesting presentation, and also question. And I think we all now to have materials about what we need to think more in this evening. And we also discuss with you in this evening many things. And tomorrow, enjoy workshops. And thank you very much once more that you come and enjoy Estonia.